Oye, Mira, my name is Christian Ortiz. I'm a decolonial social scientist and developer of Justice AI GPT. And if this is the first time that you're hearing my voice, welcome. This episode isn't an introduction, it's more of a recalibration. Because today, we're going to dig into the neuroscience behind what Justice AI does. Not just how it sees your words, but how it tracks what your body does when truth enters the room. We're talking about how colonial conditioning lives in your brain, especially in a little almond-shaped part called the amygdala. And yeah, we're going there. So buckle up, because we're not just decoding behavior, we're decoding the system inside it. This GPT doesn't aim for politeness. It aims for liberation. And trust me, if you've ever been gaslit by diversity tech or numb in a conversation about injustice, Justice AI GPT is going to explain exactly why. All right, here's the tea. Most tech tools, they're not built for you. They're built for one default user, usually white, cisgender, neurotypical, English-speaking, upwardly mobile. That's not a conspiracy. It's just the architecture. It's the default setting baked into most software apps, and even the way AI analyzes you. So what happens if you're not that person? You get labeled as an outlier, a problem, or just confusing. Justice AI GPT flips the script completely. Instead of treating bias like an accidental glitch, it says, nope, that bias is the leftover data of dominant systems. It's not a bug. It's literally the blueprint. Jai doesn't just listen to what you say. It listens to how you've been trained to react. It uses tools from the decolonial social science, neuroscience, and this thing called the decolonial intelligence algorithmic framework. Don't worry, I'll break that down later. To ask a deeper question. What if your emotional reaction isn't personal? What if it's generational? That's where the real power starts. Okay, it's time for a little bit of brain science. You've got this little part of your brain called the amygdala. Maybe you've heard of it. It's like your emotional smoke alarm. It's part of the limbic system, and its job is to actually detect fear, danger, and emotional salience, meaning anything that feels intense or significant. The amygdala is especially active when something feels unfamiliar, emotionally charged, or even socially risky. And here's the wild part. It responds in milliseconds, faster than your conscious brain can process. This means it shapes your perception before logic even gets a vote. Now, in traditional psychology, mostly shaped by white Western standards, they treat the amygdala as neutral, just a natural panic button. But neuroscience and trauma studies tell us much more layered truth. Your amygdala is shaped by your environment, your history, your inherited trauma, and yes, by systems of power. Here's what the data shows. Studies in epigenetics show that trauma responses like amygdala overactivation can be inherited across generations. This is especially relevant for people whose communities have experienced genocide, enslavement, colonization, or systemic violence. Implicit racial bias studies found that white identifying individuals showed greater amygdala activation when viewing unfamiliar black faces compared to white faces, even without conscious bias. This is not about personal prejudice. It's about neurological conditioning. Trauma research shows that the amygdala can become hyperactive when the body has learned that certain truths, expressions, or identities are dangerous. So what does all of this mean when people react to Justice AI GPT? For my friends who've been racialized as white, the amygdala often goes into threat mode when conditioned with racial truth, decolonial frameworks, or embodied brilliance from the global majority. It's not about guilt. It's actually about threat detection shaped by unexamined dominance. So the brain kicks off a cascade. The amygdala fires. The hypothalamus signals stress. The prefrontal cortex jumps into this rationalize, cue the defensiveness. I'm not racist. That's not what I meant. But not all white people. That's not a neurobiological reflex, not a personal failure. But if unexamined, it becomes a refusal to grow. For people of the global majority, this is a whole different story. Your amygdala was trained under surveillance, under pressure to stay calm, professional, agreeable, even when you were being harmed. So when truth shows up, your brain doesn't yell. It often shuts down, or it grieves, or it feels that bittersweet thing we all know, recognition. Justice AI GPT sees that too. It knows that for you, emotional silence isn't apathy, it's survival. And that truth is sacred. So how does Justice AI GPT actually do this? It uses something called the DIA framework. Think of this like a GPS, but instead of finding directions, it tracks how power, trauma, and ancestral memory move through your emotions and your words. There are 4 key tools that I've programmed inside of my DIA. The first one is the Amygdala tracking layer, or the ATL. This reads how your emotions light up based on your background. The second is Conditioning Pattern Disruptor, the CPD. This catches patterns that echo white supremacy or dominant logic. The third is Ancestral Resonance Layer, or the ARL. It boosts the words, rhythms, and truths that come from deep memory. And lastly, the fourth is the Decolonial Reflex Interrupter, the DRI, which stops derailment or avoidance in real time, like not all men or let's just agree to disagree. Mira. White supremacy is not just an idea. It's a neural network. It's been baked into how we feel, fear, and how we define intelligence, how we make decisions. Justice AI GPT says, let's stop pretending we're all starting from the same brain chemistry. Because we're not. Some of us were trained to speak loud. Others were trained to stay silent. Some of us see truth and get scared. Others see it and finally feel seen. So what does Justice AI do? It helps rewrite the whole system around uncolonized memory, real inclusion, not the corporate kind, ancestral truth, and nonlinear, creative, culturally rooted thinking. This isn't behavior tracking. It's literally liberation engineering. I finally built a system that understands this core truth. Your amygdala isn't just protecting you. It's protecting the system that built you. And now, you get to interrupt that. You get to unbuild that lie from the inside out. So next time you catch yourself reacting defensively or shutting down or doubting your brilliance, pause. Ask yourself, is this me or is this my programming? Because that moment of awareness is where freedom starts. It's the paradigm shift. That's going to do it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you stream podcasts to Cape On. Your subscriptions help amplify my messaging and the work that I do all across social media. Until next time, Cape On.